Venus energy. I like to say Venusian. If this is your first time on my live, my name is Chief Apostle Samuel Eulis Jr. I am the apostle and pastor of Apostolic Faith of Jesus Christ Incorporated, and my beliefs are deeply rooted in the ATRs. The ATRs are the African traditional religions by which we harness, direct, and disperse energy, frequency, and vibration. To each and every one of you guys, thank you so very much. I want to say, first of all, salutation to my Madrina, to my Padrino, to my Oba, and to all of my brothers and sisters in Ifa, Voodoo, Santeria, Lakumi, Congo, Palo, Mystic, and Ajay. What's up there, my Cancer in the house, Sasha Fierce? All right, thank you so much. Also, I want to say hello to each and every one of you guys that are in the church and practicing the ATRs, and those are outside of the church and that are still practicing the ATRs. What I want you to understand that I do not teach my personal beliefs. What's up, Mama Susan? I do not teach my personal beliefs, but I do teach universal laws, because universal laws apply to each and every one of us. What's up there, my Boaz in the house? I want to say hello to my Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Aquarius, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Libra, and Virgo. Hello to each and every one of you guys. Some of you guys are headed to work or at work, and some of you guys got more time than you can muster. I want to say the reason why I teach spirituality and I utilize mundane things that people are going through, whether they read the Bible, study the Bible, or they don't utilize the Bible. They may utilize the Quran. They may utilize the book of Psalms, not in the Bible, but there's a book called the Book of Psalms. But whatever your literary or whatever you read, whatever you study, energy, frequency, and vibration don't change. And so therefore, a lot of times people get left behind, because if you display a certain type of religion, then people feel like they can't learn anything from that information. But the truth about it is, there's some truth in all things, and there's also some fabrication and lies. I want to talk about this day of Venus and the power of this particular day, and how love is utilized, and how your passion for certain things can bring about certain realities. I know that there are many people that have different tools. People have different skill sets. And one of the things I want to talk about today, especially coming through the things that I'm dealing with and coming through, and I realize that a lot of times people find me or locate me when their back is up against the wall. They find themselves in very hard places. So my subject is today is making hard things easier. And I want to talk about the reason why certain ministries, certain abilities are that people seek them at certain times. Most people, melanated people, most black people, most church people, they only seek certain things when they have a need for those things. They have a situation that's going on in their life, and they need certain type of help. This is the thing that I try to tell people when it comes down to universal laws. There are 4 seasons. If you understand moon magic or moon energy, you understand seasons. Everything has a season. Some things can be outdated because of the season. Sometimes you're in a situation longer than you were supposed to be. There's a such thing as overcooking. You can cook something and then turn around and overcook it to the point that you're actually removing all the nutrients out of the food. And so I want you to understand there are certain things we go through in life that we're only supposed to be in that situation. I don't care how hard it looks, how difficult it feels, but you're only supposed to be in that for a season. And when you don't do what you need to do, or you don't learn what you need to learn, then you find yourself in that season longer than you're supposed to be. And now things start to complicate because now you're supposed to be shifting out of one season into the next season. When it comes to attracting, when it comes to manifesting, I have had the opportunity to go through a lot of things personally, and I've also went through a lot. Thank you for hitting that like button as you come in. I went through a lot of things with people in their hardship. So I want to share with many of you, whether you work with me or not, if you are doing stuff on your own or you're working with somebody of a different type of faith or spiritual system. I'm going to give you some universal truths that still apply no matter what you're doing and how you're doing it. And this is what you can end up doing. You can make something easier or you can make things harder. I'm going to be coming from Isaiah 43, verse 2. And it says this: when thou pass through the waters, waters represent emotion. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. You don't always have to be in a overwhelming situation, but certain principles apply that keep you from getting overwhelmed. You don't have to. I say this a lot of times with people. A lot of people procrastinate until they get overwhelmed. The situation itself is not overwhelming. If they go ahead and do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it, they ain't got a problem. I don't care if it's removing a hex, removing a curse, removing bad garbage out your life, attracting positive things, finances, health, wealth, success, peace, and happiness. What's up, my Ryan, my Libra in the house? What's up to my Virgo? It's really important that you learn from somebody that teaches you the concepts of dealing with this thing called life and utilizing magic or energy in order to make your situation better. And most people find themselves procrastinating because I'm gonna finish this. When it says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers that shall not overflow thee. And when thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flames kindle or heat upon thee. I want y'all to understand something. If you understand through my teaching or through my classes what the water element represents, if you understand what the fire represents, in life, when you find yourself in situation emotionally, if you're a water sign, and you in a water sign, the Cancers, the Scorpios, the Pisces, or you got water placement. When it comes down to emotions, it is energy moving. You determine how you're gonna feel, or what type of emotion that you're gonna pay attention to in your situation. That's gonna lead you through the process of dealing with what you're dealing with. And that's what's important when it comes down to people. You need to understand, are you emotionally invested in that situation? Going through a situation and getting caught up in the situation are two different things. You can be going through a hardship. You can be going through a standstill, so to speak. When you have certain skill, I wrote this down. Don't make it harder. Don't make easy harder. That's what I meant to say. Don't make easy harder. Meditation, prayer, invocation, lighting candles, incense, it's easy. You can make it harder because you lack tools. You lack, I wrote here, lacking knowledge, the know-how. Then you lack understanding, the clarity that's needed in order for you not to make what's easy harder. And tools. The more tools you have in life, it makes your life easier. It doesn't mean what you're going through is not hard. It means that the way that you are utilizing the knowledge, the way you're utilizing the understanding, the way you're utilizing the tools. And then my last thing, skills. When somebody is skillful in something, they can make something very hard look very easy. And I was thinking about when I was in math class. And one of the things I had to master in my life, if the problem was difficult, I had an easier time with that problem and resolving that problem. But when that problem was not difficult, I end up overthinking the problem and making it harder than what it really was. And sometimes you can be good at dealing with adversity, but simple things in life, like paying your bills or speaking to people or having mannerism, some of the most simplest mundane things, people find it very difficult to do those things. But then you have other people that in that same scenario, if they were faced with something hard or something difficult or something out of the way, out of their comfort zone, they know how to address those things. Having balance in life attracts the right things to you. Having balance in your understanding of saying, okay, this is a simple disagreement. I'm not gonna make it harder. I'm not gonna overthink. I'm not gonna overanalyze. I'm not going to come up with a thousand scenarios of how it can go left. When you overthink something, let me tell y'all something. I was sitting in and this came back to me in my life. And I'm trying to share this with you. If the spirit requires something seeming simplistic, just out of obedience, and because of the fact that you don't want to mess up, you don't want to do it wrong, then you bring all these other thoughts and emotions involved in something very simple, something very easy to execute. And I would sit there in class in my desk and overthink something in my math class. And I would talk myself out of the answer that I actually knew the answer. I'm going to say this again. If you give yourself time, you can make anything simplistic difficult. I don't care who you are. Understanding your mind and understanding how you think and understanding why it's good or good is not good to have too many people talking to you, because it'll have you conjuring or thinking about or giving your attention to other scenarios that could happen. And I was thinking about that, and I think I was saying that a lot of times, even in spirituality, what's up there, Tree Rhonda in the house? There are people that things are not complicated. They make it complicated or they make it harder because they either lack the knowledge, They either lack the understanding, or either lack the tools or the skills necessary for them to accomplish a simple task. When you are here in life, especially melanated people, understanding your opposition, that makes things easier. It doesn't mean the opposition is easy, but it makes it easier because at least you have the understanding what you're dealing with. A lot of time people get into situations and circumstances and they don't really know what they're dealing with. I'm a spiritual strategist. I know the power of gaining information about what I'm going through or what I'm dealing with, whether it's a client, whether it's a family member, whatever I'm dealing with. I assess the situation and I factor in with the tools I have, the knowledge I have, the understanding of the I'm going to say this. I'm a Sagittarius. My moon is in Aries and my rising sign Pisces. Because I understand that, I understand the elements that come naturally to me. What's up, my baby Scorpio? That helps me understand how I should be positioning myself. This is why I always do work according to people's energy. I want whatever manifesting for you to be natural to you, not something foreign to you. A lot of times people are not complete or happy or fulfilled because they don't have the understanding of why certain things are done or why certain things should be done. And the reason why certain things are a struggle. And as I remember my teacher saying, because I don't forget much in my education process, but she said this. She said, if you're struggling with addition and subtraction, you're going to struggle with multiplication and division. I'm going to say this again. Every principle builds on the next principle. The more you learn, the more you understand, the more you indulge yourself in a particular magical system, the more clarity you understand. And let me tell you this, because I talked about this jumping the gun. The fact that you don't understand how healing takes place, the fact that you don't understand how breakthrough takes place, the fact that you don't understand how roads and opportunities open for you, the fact that you don't understand how things are drawn to you, hinders you from having a peace of mind, hinders you from not making a molehill out of a mountain. And this is the thing that I want to share. When you're learning how to make hard things easier, you have to learn also what you're doing that make the situation harder than it should be. If you understand what I'm to use a job. If you know what the job entails in your particular role in that job, now you can maximize your potential in that job because you understand your perimeters. But when you don't understand your perimeters and you don't understand the boundaries, you don't understand your function, then you make a job harder. And it shouldn't be as hard. I remember my center manager at UPS. And he was a Pisces, and we clashed. He clashed with a lot of people. But let me tell you what he told me, because it's always wisdom and stuff. And we were complaining, not just me, but various of drivers were complaining about the load. The load is how they stack their packages in the truck. And sometimes they have it all over the place. And his response to and what we were saying was actually truthful. It wasn't like we were making up things not to do our job. So our criticism was valid. I'm tell you what he said. He said a good driver can overcome a bad load any day. I don't care how bad that load is. If you're good at your job, you're going to overcome it. I have got on my truck in the morning, and the way it was loaded, it made my morning hard. But because of my understanding of my job, understanding of my truck, I knew what needed to get off that truck to make my day easier. It started off hard. It started off challenging. But because I knew where to go and how to maneuver on my route, I made my day easier when it started off difficult. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You may be facing things in your life, and like everybody, there's situations that may look, okay, how am I gonna get this done? Figure out what you working with. Figure out what you trying to do. Figure out how much time you got. All these factors really matter depending on what you doing, because it determines how you gonna really come out that situation. On the face of a thing, most people come to me and they're like, oh my God, I got this problem. And they done maximize this situation so huge that they're overwhelmed. And then I get into the situation and I see it from a different perspective. Also, the reason why I look at it the way I do because of the tools I have, the skills that I have, the knowledge I have. This is why I tell people that want to get into this for a business, you need experience. You need to constantly grow. You need to listen. If you're not looking and observing in your own life, you're not going to look and observe. And this is why I talk to my younger people one way, and I talk to my middle age one way, and I talk to my elderly another way about the same situations. Because depending on their situation and their individual height in that particular situation is what I prescribe. What would make this easier for you? Not that it's not difficult, not that it's not challenging, but if you do this and this, then by the time you get in the midst of this, you'll be way better off. I talk to Mother Susan about it. I talk to different people about it, especially when I go through something. And I notice that a lot of people look at me and they see me go through some hard trial. And in their mind, they don't perceive daylight for me. And when they see me come out of the situation, and I always have to take them back. I said, remember when I did this? Remember when I did that? This set me up for this. This gave me time for that. When you are strategist, life gonna be lifing. I don't care how strong you are, how smart you are, how much economics you got or don't have. Life gonna be lifing. As you grow into this thing and you understand the different days of the week, and you start understanding your element and how your element relates to your environment. It's like what I tell people, if you in Florida, you govern by a set of laws. I got people in Minnesota, I got people in Philadelphia, I got people all over this globe. Okay, listen to this. Your magic has to deal with your environment. You can be listening to me today, but you need to be aware of your environment. Because One tool may be more proficient for you than another tool. One prayer may be more effective for you than another prayer because of your environment. Where you are, like I'm 53 years old. I've been knowing magic since I was a child. I'm 53 years old. When I deal with the rivers, the flows of life, when life is lifing through the water element, I understand my emotional state is important. This is why I don't, and I have rebuttal people, and there's certain scriptures you find that Jesus or a certain man of God or woman of God were putting people out. When you trying to manifest certain things, you can't have nobody affecting your emotional state. If you are focused and you positive about your outcome, you don't need nobody else's emotional state upsetting or disturbing what you're trying to accomplish. You understand? These are the principles that you learn in life and in your given situation. I talk to employees one way. I talk to business owners another way. I talk to a disciple one way. I talk to masters another way. I talk to men one way. I talk to women another way. I talk to the old one way. I talk to the young another way. Because it matters where you are in your life. If you're ahead of the game, I'm going to say this again. If you find yourself ahead of the game and maybe you got a surplus this month, save up for a rainy day. You never sit there and say, well, and I ain't talking about not enjoying life and getting the things you need. I'm talking about, I see people when they like the hare in the story about the hare, the rabbit, and the tortoise or the turtle. And because you gotta jump, it's like a relay race. You done got ahead so far, you done got comfortable. And what you don't know, the more you get comfortable, the more you're gonna slow down. One of the things that one of my tennis coaches said me, and she told me, she said, you know what? You need the eye of the tiger. I would play people based off what their skill set. This is why I don't do it no more in my life. I used to play tennis based off the skill set of the person. I would never ride. I would get ahead in the match, but I wouldn't close it out. And she told me, she said, you need the eye of the tiger. You need to follow through. Now I'm a Sagittarius, I'm having fun, and now you done made it a task. Now I can't connect the dots, so to speak. I'm telling you, depending on what age you are, what's going on in your life, there are certain things that you may be making a lot more harder for you to learn, harder for you to achieve, making it harder for you to actually fulfill what you're looking for. I tell people this. The reason why I keep talking about knowing yourself, you're never going to strengthen yourself when you think you're okay. You're never going to listen to wisdom when you think you don't need it. You ain't no different than nobody. I deal with a lot of people. And most people failure is they think they got time. Most people, when it comes down to conjure, they're not prepared for what tomorrow gonna bring. They're excited about what's going on today. When you're dealing with fire, this means that you should be able to walk through that fire in somebody's life, their passion, their drive, whatever element that they're dealing with, and not be burned. One of the things I try to teach people, if you know the person you're dealing with and you accept people for who they are, you will be able to handle situations a lot better than you are doing now. Because that's so true, because different frequency and different environment. Yeah. That's right, Ryan. I want people to understand something. There are certain things about people, places, and things you may be able to change. And if you find yourself in a situation that you don't have the tools to change that situation, then start adapting to what you need to do to be able to navigate in that situation. You may be in a situation, in an environment economically. And I was thinking about why it's harder, not difficult, but harder for certain people to believe in me on a certain level because I'm extraterrestrial. The energy I harness is outside of Earth. So when you are having a difficult time understanding the function of Earth energy, then most certainly you're going to have a difficulty understanding extraterrestrial. A lot of things that I say may sound cool, it may sound enlightening, inspiring even. But at the end of the day, when you are walking with somebody that is actually helping people to overcome their hardships, getting through their hard times, and what I see is relapse. Once I bring them out of that situation, they fall back. If I'm not longer pushing that situation or those situations in their life, they're going to fall back to what they're accustomed of doing. And if you don't understand, whether you're in your 20s, whether you're in your 30s, whether you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, on up, wherein that you make that situation, that circumstance, that scenario a lot more difficult than it really should be. This is why I'm always counting up the cost. The cost that it costs for the Monday may not cost that much or may cost more that Tuesday. When you start realizing that people change, situations change, you start making calculations with the adjustment. We call it in the business world miscellaneous. Not only you got to have resources to function, but what about those things that happen unaware? If you don't learn how to make those things more comfortable for you to deal with, then you're not going to really overcome what you need to overcome. And you're going to really have some hardships. Things get hard. I'm gonna give you this 2 Timothy 2 Timothy, the second chapter, verse 3. It said, "Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ." Now, the concept of a soldier, let me just, whether you, people will call me a spiritual ninja, assassinator. In order to be a soldier, you have to belong to something. You got to be a soldier of something, okay? Soldier of the United States, soldier of Soviet Russia, soldier of the army of the Lord, okay? My point is, when you are a soldier, you have a certain amount of responsibilities of understanding your capacity. This is why certain people get promoted in certain squads because of their skill set, their ability to communicate, their ability to maneuver when it comes to other people. Let me tell you something. Everybody can't be a double spy. Everybody can't even be a spy. You know what I'm saying? You ever have been in a conversation, because it done happened to me, and my son said, a couple things you don't do well, and that's whispering and not telling people how you really feel. My son said that about me. Let me explain to him. My family members can be talking about somebody that they present. I gotta look at them, which is giving it away that somebody talking about them. That's why I turn around. They said, don't do that. Some of us, how we are, complicate certain things. That's why we're not good in those departments. That's why God functions you and gives you where you're good at, where you become more effective. A lot of people don't even have personality. You're not good with people. You should not be in customer service. When you want to attract you got to know who you are. You got to know that you have a certain skill set to deal with certain type of people. You have a skill set to get certain things done. And because of that skill set, and because of that knowledge, and because it's something that is innate. Innate means it's something that comes naturally to you and through you. It's natural. I'm a communicator. I'm a teacher. It's not hard for me. It's hard what I do, but it's not hard for me. And that's where your success is. And when you start understanding that, and you may have certain things about you that are weaker in your skill set than others, but your greater strength always carry you through those situations, and those other elements that you're not as great in, they only blend in with the fullness of who you are. A good soldier learns. If you think about boot camp, I love what Bo said, spiritual boot camp. When you get in spiritual boot camp, or you get in boot camp of any sorts, they're going to see what you're athletically able to do. You're going to have a series of exercises. Also in camp, boot camp, they're going to see how clean you are. They train everybody how to make their bed. And when you first start out, if you ain't good at certain things, you may struggle. But they know that everybody, if they follow the techniques, you're going to be able to drop your quarter or your nickel on that bed, and it going to do what it do. But let me tell y'all something. In this spiritual journey, if you have a hard time following the instructions, I'm going to say this again. If you are a person that don't like to listen, that's not your strong point. You're going to make your situation, I don't care what you practice. I don't care what you be in. You're going to make things way more difficult than it should be. When people lack certain things, they think it's about life making it hard for them. No, you making it hard for you. You don't know how to follow instructions. You get a part of something and you start doing what you want to do. When you want to be efficient and spiritual, and you want a more peaceful life, and you want to make hard things easier, following the instruction. There's a reason why they are instructing you. A lot of black people, black American people, think that a person's personality devoids them of giving instruction. If somebody is good at what they do, their personality really don't even matter. Hillary Clinton, Secretary Clinton, First Lady Clinton, Hillary Clinton doesn't have the best charisma like a Barack Obama. But that don't mean she don't know her stuff. A lot of y'all gonna miss. You're gonna miss out on so much that life has to offer. All because you cannot deal with somebody's personality. You're not looking at the skill set you could actually learn from that person. You're looking at how you differ in towards their personality. There are certain things in life, personality matters. But when it comes down to skill, structure, and what you need, my mom told me this. I was going through school. And my mom was a Virgo. I really want to home this in. And I'm saying, if you like me, cool. If you don't like me, cool. It don't really matter. I know my stuff. I know why I say the things I say. I know why I teach the things I teach, because they work. This is what I want you to hear what she said. She told me, I don't want to hear about somebody being racist. She said that teacher in that classroom got what they need. That's why they teach it. I want this to sink in. If you're trying to attract certain things to you, I need this part right here to sink in. That teacher has what he or she needs. That master has what he or she needs. You trying to get yours. That's what she told me. You sitting in the classroom for a reason. The reason they got the position as teacher, because of what they already accomplished. That's from the principal. That's from the guidance. Everybody operating in these spiritual, everybody in a place because they have what they need. Does that make you a good teacher? No. Sometimes you have to adjust to the teacher to get their methods. I was a type of student, I had to be looking at you. I see with my ears. And I hear with my eyes. That's where I'm wired. So if my teacher is standing up there and they're not facing me, I can't hear them. I had to learn how not to be distracted by that. I'm still that way. I'm 53 years old. My function is what it is. But I have learned in life to adjust myself, especially if I'm trying to learn something, I'm trying to understand something, because everybody got a different teaching style. Everybody has a reason why they may emphasize one part of spirituality than the other, depending on what they're going through, what they do. Everybody's not open to your particular lifestyle. The way I came up and the things that were going on and the backdrop of my life, it gave me a lot of experiences on both sides. That's why I can understand the landlord and I can also understand the rentee. I understood very early on about duality. Let me tell you something. The moment you stop disrespecting leadership and positions, your life will get easier. I prepare for the country that I live in. I prepare for the state that I live in. I prepare for the town, the city that I live in. I even prepare for the neighbors that I have. These things affect me whether I want them to or not. That's how real you got to be in this thing. And when you a soldier and they drop you into enemy's turf, you got to, that's not where you from. You got to learn the turf of where you fighting at. Sometimes you can't fight people on your own turf. Sometimes you can't overcome certain things on your what you're accustomed to. Sometimes you got to go out from among you and then accomplish and learn how to navigate in somebody else's element. These are all the things that I tell people that either gonna make something hard easier or they're gonna make something that's easy harder. Listening. Actually sitting down saying, okay, I heard what they said, but I really don't understand the words that they use. That's why I'm always giving definitions. Because black people and melanated people like to make up their own definitions. And based off what they define, what you said, they're going to come up with a different interpretation. This is why I'm constantly saying, I don't get on here to discourage anybody. I don't get on here to try to tell people to do it like I do. I would never do that. I don't even tell my kids to live their life like I live my life. Because they don't have my circumstance, my situation. They don't have my experience. I'm older than them. They may not want what I want. They may not like what I like. There's a lot of variables that allow people to go down different paths. Just like in Santeria and also in Palo. You can be in a path of Oshun, but you veer off because of a certain type of Oshun that you have. You can be in the same city, living on the same block, but hooked up to a different grid. Do you understand what I'm saying? You could be in the same neighborhood, and that be your neighbor across the street, but their house is hooked up on a different grid than your is. That's why you see in some neighborhood when storms come in, you got one side got lights and the other side don't got lights, and they neighbors. Depending on your path and depending on what you're trying to do with your life, that when you go to a spiritualist, have an idea or a vision of what you really want. What you want to become, not only spiritually, what type of economic, what kind of reality that you're trying to live in. That's going to help you know why you listen to certain things or not listen to certain things. I had to learn by communicating to people, it made it easier for somebody to deal with me, even though it's not easy to deal with me. I'm going to say that again. Because I understood my complexity. I communicated certain things to help it easier to navigate. When you a person don't listen to the communication that's coming before you, you make a difficult situation even harder. Let me tell y'all something. When you want to reconcile, when you want to amend bridges, I would never try to amend a bridge with the same rope that snapped or was cut or was broken down over time. I'm going to build that bridge with something stronger. Even when you are trying to reconcile with people, places, and things. And my mama told me this. She said, never leave a job that you can't go back to. I'm going to say this again. Never leave a relationship that you can't go back to. When people have all these mixed emotions, normally it's because of how they handle themselves in that relationship. Normally how they handle themselves on that job. Even when you want to go after better, when you want to do better in life, it's how you dismount. It's how you disengage what really matter most if you had to return. This is why people tell you, many of us, be careful how you treat people on your way up. Because you want to meet them same people on your way down. I'm going to say this again. The energy by which you do things, when you are in a covenant relationship and you're supported, this is like people try to make like, oh, I'm doing favoritism. No, I look out for who look out for me. I look out for people that didn't make my situation difficult. There's certain people when I was going through what I was going through, made it easier for me to get through what I was getting through. I'm gonna say it again. There were people, everybody wasn't doing the same thing. But they made a hard situation for me easier for me to get through that situation because of what they were doing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Guy Rogers. If you understand what it is in life, and like I said, I'm not telling you not to initiate. I'm not telling you not to go after certain achievements in life. What I am saying, you can make things a lot more harder because you're lacking certain things, or in your personality, you don't like to follow directions. You can have a different experience with somebody when you respect them. I tell people about flattery. That's why I don't like flattery. I'm a Sagittarius. I don't like flattery. When people say things to you that they really don't mean, I'm going to say this again. When you're asking for stuff that you really don't, you love the idea of what you're asking for, but you don't know what it all entails. You can't really be honest with people. I would tell people, you can't call me Superman and turn around and treat me like Clark Kent. It's not going to work. Some of you guys feel like, oh, I'm going to say this and say that to this man or this woman and get them to think I feel a certain type of way about them, or I perceive them a certain type of way. But your behavior is so subpar to what you actually are saying. How are you going to say that's a good woman to you, but look how you treat her? How are you going to say that's a good man and how you treat? Many people talk about how good God is. And he in divine energy, feminine energy, it's the last thing on your mind when you're trying to do what you're trying to do. Goodness does not equate good behavior. Being good to people does not bring people into the mindset, oh, let me behave good to them that are showing me their goodness. This is why the Bible says, and I know I'm fit to mess some of y'all up. This is why the Bible says, an evil man knows how to give good gifts to his children. I want you to really think about it. An evil man, defined wicked, he even understands how and why he gonna give good opportunities to his children. I remember one of the guys got busted, and they had it all over the news. And there was even the feds that came in there, they was even taking up the plants out of the yard. They were that petty. But the man told his daughter, they can't take away your education. When you invest certain things, a lot of y'all think, oh, you got to be this great parent. Know what's best for your child or children. Know what it's going to help them obtain and accomplish better things. This idea about perfection is delusional. We are mature in the things that we go through. We are mindful of the things we go through. We try to accumulate as we go through things, so we have a better understanding. Some things are good to know, but not good for you, and they will let you know just how they feel about you. Yep. Let me tell you something. And I Mother Susan said that. I try to explain to people. If you a type of person that have always grew up lying to yourself, people around you lie to you. I'm gonna tell you why a lot of women fall out. Because most women compliment other women they don't really believe their compliment that come out of their mouth. Most women give compliments to get a compliment. But when they get mad, they tell how they really feel. I told my sons that. I said, if you really want to know how a woman feel, get her mad at you. Anger has a way of speaking a sober head. Whatever she think about you, whether you agree with or disagree with it, they're gonna tell you. In that fit of anger, oh yeah, you're gonna hear the truth of their opinion. It may not be the truth, but their truth that they know it, what they got a problem with. Rattling people's cages get people to tell the truth about what they think. Because they are accustomed. When I say the word accustomed, that means they're used to, they're comfortable in being lied to and lying. I'm the type of person, I accept people for who they are. I tell people all the time, whether they listen or not, I'm a people person. You ain't got to be the smartest. You ain't got to be the sharpest. You ain't got to be the richest. If I like you, I like you. If I like to get down with you, spend time with you, whatever that is, that's no skin off nobody's back, because that's my preference. I try to get people to understand that when you're engaging with people that think like that, this is how you navigate. I had my baby Scorpio tell me one time, he's like, "Oh, I thought because I did this or that, you're gonna be mad with me and stuff." No, you still going. I would be more upset with an older woman pulling certain stunts than a young adult. Because they still learning, they still experiencing. Some of y'all feel like at a certain age that you shouldn't be criticized. I'm 53 years old. I've been on the earth for 53 years. There are certain things I need to have achieved to have certain amount of respect for the time and duration that I've been on earth. When I'm up here talking about I'm an elder and I'm a leader, I should have certain wisdom. I should have certain knowledge of how to guide people that are in lower states than I am. In order, I don't care if it's business, I don't care about finance, I don't care if it's about sex, I don't care if it's about communication. That's why I don't have a problem with being transparent, because it's more important for me to understand, for people to understand what it really takes to do what we're doing. It doesn't matter if you want a botanica, a church, or a personal business. It doesn't matter if you want to work from home, if you want to work abroad. Principles don't change. Climates, environments change, but principles don't change. A lot of y'all have problems with yourself, and you make things harder on yourself because you got issues with your own self. There's things that you have never or paid attention to or even tried to correct about yourself. And anybody that's quick to criticize other people without evaluating themselves is an untrustworthy candidate. Magic, energy, frequency, and vibration. If you want to attract certain people around your life, and if you do attract certain people that not necessarily do it like you do it, but they have certain virtues or certain values that are important to you. They may not come in the color you like. They may not come in the size you like. They may not come in the economics you like. They may not come in the sexual orientation that you might fancy. But their values, their dedication, their commitment. Let me tell you something about me. I've never been accused of not sticking out through the thick and thin. I'm going to say that again. When I have clients come to me, and I have people come to me for help, normally they're in a bad spot. That does not deter me. And I stick with them until they come out of their situation. What I had to learn is that when people get that weight off of them, when people get that stress off of them, now you're meeting the person that's not under pressure. Now you're meeting the person that's not under stress. Now you're going to find out how they really are. Some people, because of poverty, they have great mannerism. Because they in their mind, they never know who they're going to need. So they treat people a certain type of way in front of them. But have you ever noticed when people get a piece of money that they don't think they need nobody? That's when you find out what they really think. Some of y'all don't appreciate people being honest with you. And that's fine. There's billions of people on the planet. It's plenty of people gonna lie to you. If you come to me and looking for me to lie to you, you wasting your time. I don't even lie to myself. I don't tell myself stuff because I want something. If I ain't accomplished something, I ain't accomplished. If I got something, I got it. If I don't, I don't. I don't do that with me. So I'm not gonna do it with somebody else. I'm not gonna make my life harder than it needs to be. I'm not gonna make my life more difficult than it needs to be. So therefore, when I'm engaging with people, places, and things, I'm not gonna make your life more difficult than it really needs to be. And don't ask me for my advice. Don't ask me for my insight. Because I believe in evolving as a person. And a Sagittarius, if they care about you, they're going to always try to teach you. It's when they're not teaching. If they go cold and silent on you and ain't trying to teach you nothing, trying to show you nothing, I had cut people off with my teaching. I ain't trying to teach you nothing. You ain't even applied what I've already taught. We're not here not only to make our life difficult, then you should also be aware of not allowing people to make your life more difficult. I don't have a problem with President Trump being who he is. I have a problem with him making it hard for other people. I have a problem with people that use magic or any form of authority they have to complicate people's life that they don't have no skin in the game. Why would you complicate somebody's life when that don't affect your life? I'm not going to go over here and try to teach somebody my classes that don't want to be in my classes. I don't care. You can think whatever you think or believe whatever you believe. I'm trying to get this home to y'all. You can't get a man or woman in your life and try to re-raise them. Attract people and recognize what you're attracted to make your life easier. Not that it's not challenging. Not that you don't have to go through anything. But when you got two people that believe in working, they get more done when only one of those persons believe in working and the other one believe in doing what they got to do. When you working with people, I'm looking for people that I resonate with. That resonate with me. I don't have to beg those people. When you attracted to something, you ain't got to beg. A liquor store don't have to beg a drunk. A drug dealer ain't got to beg a crackhead or marijuana, whatever type of drug, fentanyl, whatever. When you want better, you ain't got to beg nobody to be present. They gonna do whatever they got to do to make those adjustments. In my closing, I have some difficult challenges. I've had some hard tests. But because not only my skill set, my knowledge, and my anointing, but also, certain man, I allow people to make my life easier, to make my process easier. Even though I'm a private person, that's why I'm transparent. Because a part of that, me being transparent, allows some man or woman to support what I'm doing. You see what I'm saying? Knowing what makes life easier. You don't have to be hungry. You don't have to be homeless. You don't have to be jobless. You don't have to suffer loss like a lot of people do. If you let the right people come in with the right skill set, they will help you weather that storm a lot more easier than you would do on your own. I bought a bicycle, electric bike. I took it out of the box. I looked at it. I know I'm not mechanically inclined. When I seen them parts, now to somebody that do assembly, that may not been hard at all. And I got tools. But that ain't my thing. I took that bicycle to a electric bicycle shop. See, I didn't just look up a bike. I looked up a place that sold electric bikes. I'm going to say it again. Because I knew what I had, I knew who I was not going to make that process with that bicycle harder than it needed to be. I paid somebody to put that bike together. I'm going to say it again. Some things that you are living because you're choosing, knowing that you are not skilled in that area, knowing that you lack certain things, that you're trying to involve yourself in something just because you got a need. A need does not mean that you actually have the ability or the skill to actually bring that thing to pass. All I'm doing is waiting on them to call me and tell me my bike is ready. Because if I sat there and tried to put that bike together, not only all the parts would not be attached to that bicycle, but I'd have made that something that's easy for somebody that got skill. I'd have made it hard for myself. And that's all I'm trying to tell you. What are you doing or not doing that's making your interaction with people, places, and things harder? Your success, your prosperity, your health, your healing. What you doing? What you not doing? What tools you should have that you don't have, that you can actually make it easier for yourself. I'm 53. I'm leaning into 60. I'm constantly trying to prepare for each decade. I know I want to do spirituality and spiritual work till the day I die. So I have to make things more convenient for me to do my due diligence. And that's all I'm telling you. Depending on what you want in life, depending on how you want your life to be run. This information is necessary. This will bring you into enlightenment. And this will make your science, depending on what you practice, a lot easier. As hard as it may be, as difficult as it may be, do not make a molehill out of a mountain. All right? God bless you. I'll see some of y'all later.